Hello folks, so here it is, the exterior to my, I guess we'll call it studio, or studio's fine because I actually do work in there, and that's basically where I house my stuff, you could say, and I guess without further ado, let's go in there. So let me just give you a quick kind of 360 view of the room before we kind of look around a bit more. So yes, this room is pretty big. When I bought this house, this was definitely the place I had in mind to put all my stuff. It was pretty much the only place my wife would allow me. Pretty much the moment you come in, what you see is a painting I did of my father. He passed away a few years ago. Once he passed, I decided to make this painting of him when he was in his, I'd say, early 20s. That's you, Dad. Up here is some NECA Karate Kid figures. I basically didn't have anywhere else to put them aside from here. Still debating whether or not to unbox them. This area is a bit disorganized right now because I have this lamp here, but this is where I keep some box sets, mostly DVDs. You know, a lot of prolific titles up here, Planet of the Apes, things like that, some classics, Indiana Jones, etc. Over here on this side, that's actually a nice little couch that my wife salvaged. It's basically where I sit to relax, to watch a movie, or to like review my videos once they're done. Behind that, as you can see, I have pretty much all of my movies, which is something that I've been collecting for quite some time. I'm a big fan of films. I've kind of set up action figures here according to film genre. This is a little diorama that I did for my son. He really didn't have room for it in his room, so he basically asked if I could just kind of hold on to it or keep it, and I figured it'd be a good fit right here. It actually lights up. Let me see if I can. There you go. I really think this came out really cool, something I'm kind of proud of. We actually built it together. We had a lot of fun. Every now and then he sits down and paints with me and does stuff. My son loves playing video games and things like that, but he's also pretty crafty. He likes to paint and draw. I enjoy horror films very much. I've kind of followed horror throughout the years, definitely a lot more the older I got. My parents pretty much didn't let me rent too many horror movies, but you know, once I turned 18, I was able to rent my own stuff. You know, I really started going crazy and renting movies and buying them, and you know, it's kind of like a snowball effect. You see one film and then you got to see all of them. So while we're on the subject of horror, this case here was something we picked up in a neighborhood yard sale. I really like how it looks painted black. I have this silly little dagger here that my older brother gave me several years ago. Kind of keeps this closed. These are a bunch of vampires, of course, my vampire collection. A couple of custom figures, Day of the Dead custom action figures I made. Elvira. Right here is a Medusa model kit, and she's over here taking on King Leonidas. Down here, some Walking Dead stuff. The Last of Us, custom Walking Dead figures I made. At the bottom of my horror shelf, got these fellows, some of the more classic modern horror icons from recent memory. Leatherface, Pinhead, Jack Torrance, Chucky, The Nun, Hannibal Lecter, Freddy Krueger, Tall Man, Jason Voorhees, Clockwork Orange. I just stuck them in there, and Michael Myers. So right here is where we start getting to the vintage stuff. Of course, big fan of Masters of the Universe. These things I've accumulated recently. I mean, there's been times throughout my life where I've had some, but I never really kept them. I've always given them away or broken them, but this particular time I decided, you know, I really kind of wanted to be a little more serious in my collecting of Masters of the Universe. For the most part, I have every figure for Masters of the Universe that I could want. I'm not sure if I'd really be picking up any more anytime soon, unless it's something ultra rare. Got some of my customs kind of just laying around here, as well as these notable He-Man knockoffs and other stuff. Up here I have my Thundercat collection. I kind of wish I had more, but as you can see, I don't even know where I would put them. These, I've tried to pick them up wherever I can get them. If I can get them cheap, I pick them up. If not, then big deal. I'm not trying to break the bank in buying many of these like figures. So over here have been some of these Funko releases, these kind of knockoff Masters of the Universe released by Funko. Down here, directly under my Masters of the Universe figures, I have just sort of miscellaneous 80s stuff. You know, there's Inhumanoids and Bravestar, Conan, which is from the 90s, but I was a big fan of that animated series. Some Battle Beast, and then some of these knockoff Transformers, which I thought were really cool back in the day, and my Voltron. Now this is the recent re-release. I don't remember the company off the top of my head that made this, but these were available at Walmart and Target for quite some time, and pretty much I can't recall, I think the Green Lion was probably the hardest one to obtain, and I eventually obtained them and was able to complete my Voltron, and I'm very happy with it. I've always liked Transformers. I liked them a lot more when I was younger, because back then it was just quite an incredible thing. When modern remakes started to be released, I was really impressed by some of them, and so I decided to pick up a few from the Power of the Prime series, as well as some of the other modern series. I'm happy with the ones I have. I really don't think I'll go much farther in terms of Transformers. So right here I have like my Street Sharks, Ghostbuster stuff, Chuck Norris, and then one of my favorite lines, which was the Rambo line from the 80s, as well as Centurions and Mask, and even some Spiral Zone figures. And those are just like some really cool cartoons, and the toys are really, really excellent. And then also some Aliens and Bionic 6 stuff. And then here's some Lord of the Rings Lego things that my son gave me. Down here, as you can see, I have some Ninja Turtle stuff, G.I. Joes, some G.I. Joe vehicles. So below my vintage toys, I have these books. Most of them are art books. I love to draw, and most of the time I get inspiration from a lot of these books. I mean, they're books on movies, comic book art, video games, you name it. All good stuff. I listen to a lot of music, especially while I'm working. You know, I've got a lot of soundtracks, a lot of rock, some hip-hop. CD is a great format. I love having my own copies of music. Vinyl is cool, but at this point, don't really have the space to have a massive vinyl collection. And, you know, the good thing about CDs is you can make your own little digital archive of your music. As you may know, physical media is starting to disappear, and who knows when or if you'll ever be able to obtain this stuff ever again. Over here, a couple of little knickknacks, some Muscle Men in a little bucket, in a tin bucket, my Sectars, some MOTU classics, more MOTU classics and Mythic Legions. And so up here, some carded Funko Thundercats. And up here, I have these carded Pirates of Darkwater figures. This is another cartoon that I really enjoyed back in the 90s. And I was really fortunate to find this set at a really good price at Frankenstein Collectibles Show. The only thing that I'm missing out of this whole line is the ship, and I'm not sure if I'll ever obtain that. I don't even know if I'd ever buy it, because honestly, as you can see, I really don't know where I'd put it. Not sure I'd have the space for it. So this is my desk. I spend a lot of time here. This is where I edit my videos, of course, obviously, and I also do all of my illustration here, and you know, my painting, sculpting, you name it. I mean, it's a big table. It has room for a lot of stuff. You can't tell right now because I got all these things, you know, some figures I'm currently working on, and some other stuff that I gotta find a place for. So right here I have some artwork. Here's a skeleton that I picked up at Walgreens for about 15 bucks a few years ago, and you know, I like having this skeleton here because it's good for reference for drawing. Not only that, it's cool, it's got some articulation, and right now it's serving the purpose of holding this painting I did of the Bride of Frankenstein, which is, you know, another painting that I'm really proud of, I really like. And you know, she's really one of my favorite characters. I really love the way she looks. I really love drawing her. Right above that, here's a page of original comic book art, which I purchased from Ale Garza, and it's a page from Batgirl 68. I just thought it was a really cool page, and he was selling it like at a very, very good price. I picked this up from him, I want to say possibly at a Comic-Con. I don't remember. Not sure if it was at a comic book convention here in Los Angeles or at Comic-Con, but I think it was at Comic-Con. So up here is, I guess, my little Star Wars shrine. You know, I was a big fan of Return of the Jedi. I love Ewoks, as you can see. Hoping to pick up some more figures and play sets from Return of the Jedi, but once again, I'm in the situation where I don't know where I'd put them. And yes, that's an Amana Man. My son picked that up a few years back, and he asked me to hold it for him. On this side, you'll notice is my 1/6 scale collection, and a lot of stuff here. I mean, this is the stuff that I've really been collecting, I'd say, nearly for the past decade or so. I'm not really sure what it is I like about 1/6 scale. I think in the beginning, it was the customization, the ability to be able to customize these figures. Basically, you can swap outfits, things like that. You can kit bash them. I guess the fact that you're not stuck with a simple hunk of plastic. I mean, you could literally do things with these. You could modify them. The posability for these things is fantastic. I mean, they're great for taking pictures. They're great for reference in terms of art. I guess that's what really drew me to them. I tried to have some kind of theme or category when setting these up, and you know, that kind of makes it a little more pleasing to look at. But then at times it's a bit of a challenge when you kind of have to mix certain categories and things like that because you don't have enough of one or the other, and that just tends to happen quite a bit. I have a little bit of everything when it comes to 1/6 scale figures. Now, one thing I am not happy with that I really hope to change and fix is the wiring in here. That's just kind of, you know, all these wires for the lights that are hanging in there. I hope to kind of tidy it up because I haven't really completed setting up the lights for these detolfs. A few of these sections don't have lights, so I need to pretty much buy one more set, and once I do that, then I will organize all these cables and things like that and tidy it up and make it look a lot more sharp. One thing I can tell you about doing videos, especially for like collectors and things like that, especially when they have a lot of stuff, is that it gets fairly exhausting. You want to film everything that you possibly could and not forget anything, but at the same time, it takes a lot. I was trying to do this all in one take, but I've had to pause a bit, and even still, I'm fairly tired. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is my studio. I'm very happy to have something like this in my life. I'll tell you, sometimes there's nothing better than being in here and putting together these videos for you, or drawing stuff, or sculpting something, or simply just sitting here watching a movie, or sometimes just sitting here, because there's times, I kid you not, where I just come in here and sit down and look around and think about all this stuff and reflect. So with that being said, may those who play never gray. Thank you.